Hey guys, Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. Welcome to Double Shot of Steelers. It's presented by FanDuel. Happy to have you here today. I'll be joined soon by Chris Halleck, who's been over on the South Side covering Steelers practice and coordinator Thursday. Both Arthur Smith and Terrell Austin took turns giving updates, insight, so forth. And for the first time in a while, Austin wasn't exactly getting grilled because he had himself a pretty nice Sunday night performance against the Colts. What has to happen for this team this weekend is to finally begin to assemble some semblance of reliability, consistency. They can't be the 32nd worst, whatever, 1 week, and then be the absolute best to knock off number one the following week. They refer to this in the locker room, and I'm pretty sure it's a Mike Tomlinism, as stacking. They don't just talk about stacking wins. That's actually fairly common. They talk about stacking in almost every context. They talk about saying, all right, we did this. Enjoy it for a day. It's time to start putting another one together. It's time to start preparing to put another one together. They feel like they have solved some things. They've put some people where it is that they need to go, especially on defense. But there's a lot of different variables in all of this. It is the biggest game of the season. That's the way they need to treat this. The same level of passion, the same level of confidence, the same level of, coaching and schematics and communication and all of the intangible non-execution aspects of it. Look, one thing that you can't do in the football player business is give all kinds of credit to one or two people. In this case, it was two. It was Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey who spoke before the group and say, they really got us fired up. They got us going. And then not have that in play the following week. You can't just say, we were ready to run through the wall, whatever. And then for your next game, you're not there at all. That is a controllable. Being emotionally, energetically ready is a controllable. You have to be able to do that. There's only 17 of these things, plus playoffs all year. This isn't like where you got to drag through 82 NHL games or 162 Major League Baseball games. I understand, different sport. I'm not knocking that part of it. I'm just saying emotionally, the whole only 17 of them. You got to be all the way up. I don't care how the flight hits you. I don't care anything. The hotel bed the night before in LA. You've got to hit it. You've got to hit it. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Chris Halleck.
For those of you who are doing real work in construction, in a warehouse, if you're a mechanic, you want reliable, comfortable gear to help you perform well on the job. Brunt Workwear's got you. They've got waterproof boots, safety toe, soft toe, pull-on, lace-up, whatever you need. You can wear them to work, and if they're not right for you, send them back. I don't know of any other brand doing that. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off. Just head to bruntworkwear.com. Use the code DK Sports and you're good to go. After you order, they'll ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor here at DK Pittsburgh Sports and tell them it was from this show.
Welcome back. Steelers versus Colts happened on Sunday. Yeah. Steelers versus Chargers. I did all right there.
Nice recovery.
I went past tense. Steelers versus Chargers is coming up Sunday night in Inglewood. There's Jose. What's up, Jose?
It's a team effort this week.
It is. Tell Jose the Pirates are expecting to make some moves today. No, for real. Today. They're going to be unbelievably minor. Did he already get in the car?
He's getting in. The Pirates are apparently making moves today. That's what DK says.
Yeah, alert coming out right now.
Yeah, they come with a laugh track. our Pirates alerts on our app should actually come with a laugh track or some kind of clown car noise or whatever it is. Football season's here in full swing. It's time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you think the Steelers are headed to the Super Bowl, lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, the FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials so you can join in on all of the action. It was Coordinator Thursday over there on the South Side. Not by nature, by virtue of coming off of a really nice win, going to be something where they get grilled. What was the big takeaway that you had from what both of those guys said there, Chris? Is it one standout?
Actually, two stood out, and I think we have videos queued up for both of them. I'll start on the offensive side of the ball. Arthur Smith, obviously, no additions ahead of the trade deadline. It is what it is. They're not adding another receiver, so that puts the onus on the guys who are already here: Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller when he comes back, possibly Marquez Valdez-Scantling if he can learn the offense and earn a promotion to the active roster, whoever it is. But I thought it was really interesting, and the Colts went out of their way to roll coverage to DK early and often, and they noticed it in the middle of the game, and that then forced Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith to start relying on other guys, Darnell Washington and other guys. And the way Arthur talked about it today, I thought was really interesting in terms of how they're going to handle the situation moving forward, and how it's actually, again, the way he describes it, I felt like it's kind of a healthy thing for them to do if you're not going to make other additions. I thought it was really kind of striking the way he described it today.
And here it is.
Sure. Those are tough lessons learned. And sometimes adversity can be your best teacher. I mean, just going back to another young player, I'll take Darnell, for example, early on. One of the early runs, those are the small things. You talk about the run game, little late off the ball. We got tripped up. We had the angles. We cut it back, only got a couple, in the red zone. And you don't want guys to get down. And the guys you trust and the young players, and they're all different. And then you tell them, and I told him, I said, Darnell, coming back to you. We'll get going. However the conversation was, I don't remember exactly, but that's a credit to Darnell. And he made the catches he made as the game went on were way tougher than the ones he had, the opportunities in the red zone. You don't give up on guys, and that's trust that's built. And the same thing with Roman. It's nobody purposely tries to do that, and sometimes those are tough lessons learned. And then you could tell them, you drill things. I mean, ironically, in Cincinnati, he jumped. Yeah, it didn't pay off. And you're gonna get burned. That's become like a new trend. I see it all over college football, whatever. Maybe Aaron and I are getting. I don't feel it, but maybe we look at things old. But you just see that a lot, and sometimes guys get away with it, and there's no reason to jump. I couldn't tell you why that trend started or whatever, but it did. It cost us there. But we'll get a lot of faith in Roman. He's a tough-minded guy, and like I said, adversity can be your best teacher.
Where did that trend start?
I have no idea. I mean, again, you can get away with that stuff in high school and college. You can't get away with that in the NFL. I mean, you have to be a really, really special athlete. You have to be a Le'Veon Bell to be able, or Saquon Barkley to be able to hurdle over NFL players. Roman Wilson does. I think he can do some things really well, but he's not that kind of an athlete. He's not that kind of a guy. He's just not. I mean, you kind of have to know and hear the police or possibly ambulance to take away Roman Wilson after that play.
Now. Where are they going? That's a dead-end street. What Maybe
No,
it's just
it's
like
actually behind me. It's behind me. Like the dead end street.
it's out on
this way.
Carson. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's out on Carson. Yeah, I get that. No, it did not start with Saquon Barkley. Saquon had the famous backward jump. But when you're talking about just leapfrogging people, I mean, heck, Najee Harris did it more than once while he was with the Steelers. It's one of those things. I think to some extent, there's an instinct that takes over when you watch a lot of highlights. You see who it is that gets hyped up, who it is that goes viral, and you think, I can do that too. And it's somewhere in your head, even if it's not necessarily, because how do you practice it? It's just something that's in there. And look, he made a mistake. His head coach on the record, standing behind a podium, called it boneheaded.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things I have liked about Arthur's tendencies this year, Chris, is that he has gone not just back to people, he goes right back to them. In fact, it's almost a tell at this point to the other team. When one of the Steelers receivers or tight ends messes up, they're going to go right back to him. I know from talking to a couple of them when it's happened, and I brought this up with Janu after the game. Well, this is kind of a delicate thing to bring up with a guy, but I did. It's just like, was it nice to be able to bounce back from, because he was one of the two people that addressed to the team and got them all hyped up. First pass comes his way. Absolutely everything is executed perfectly. It just goes right through his mitts. He said he never doubted that they were going to come right back to him. He really, really appreciated it when they did, and then gave all the standard stuff about confidence and belief in himself and that sort of thing. What about the other side of the ball here today, Chris?
Yeah, Terrell Austin, I wanted to ask him because, Mike Tomlin wouldn't necessarily give me the answer I was looking for. So I wanted to ask TA, obviously you're not going to run the same exact usage of coverage every single week. You're going to face different teams who have different strengths, who do things differently. You're going to have to try to defend the offenses based on who you're playing. And there might not be a greater difference between offensive mindsets between Shane Steichen with the Colts and Greg Roman with the Chargers. I mean, they love to use two backs. They lead the league in a couple of different personnels with two backs. It's a completely different offense. But then when you look at the way the Steelers played and how they executed certain coverages, I wanted to ask him, is it almost like did you guys do enough in that game where it almost doesn't matter about the opponent, that these are still some of the plays or the concepts or the coverages that you just want to have on your call sheet almost on a weekly basis just because you executed them so well? And then he kind of also got into, how they adjust on a weekly basis. I thought it was actually some interesting stuff from TA today.
Okay, and here is that.
Yeah, you guys had a pretty stark difference in the schematics versus the Colts versus what you had done up to that point. I know that Greg Roman's offense is not the same as Shane Steichen's offense. There's pretty significant differences. But can you still look at that game and look at the things that you did really well and be like, I want to still go back to doing some of the stuff almost regardless of who the opponent is?
Well, I think the thing we've done really well the last 2 weeks is really we've gotten after the run game. And so for us, it still all starts there. I think if we stop the run game, we give ourselves a chance. And I think if going into this game, whatever we need to do to try to stop the run game, that'll give us an opportunity to be good in other areas. And then it's up to us to finish in those other areas. But, the things we looked at and the things that I look at and things that we want to do is first and foremost is stop the run. And we've continually getting better at that, and I think if we do that, we'll continue to get better as a defense. Well, I think a lot of it is, like anything, we always look at ourselves and what we do. And I mean, if you look at us, we're a majority single high defense, and when you throw teams curveballs, sometimes it screws them up. And we're going to be who we're going to be, but at times you got to be able to mix it up and do those things. And I think maybe that was some of the issue. They were probably expecting some single high and didn't get it. And so, next week or this upcoming week's another. Hey, what are we going to do this week? What kind of chess match we're going to have here with Greg Roman? He knows us, we know him, and so we're going to see who kind of wins that as we get to Sunday.
Exit rituals after Chris's own heart here. Look at this remark. The audio is great on these
45
clips.
minutes to fix them.
45 minutes of Chris's time today to clean up that audio for everybody. Yeah. Single high should be a single no. Thank you, says Swan. It's obviously TA is not going to sit here and say, well, Chris, here's what I'm going to do against the Chargers.
Right.
However, what I hear in that throughout his answer to you is adaptability, is flexibility, is, yeah, there is a base, there is a foundation, there's an identity that this team wants to achieve. The one thing that you hope for out of all this, and this is an issue that I've been pounding since, like day one in St. Vincent. Go get it. Get after them. That's the players that you got. You can pretend otherwise. You can say, well, yeah, we can do anything with that guy. He can be a guy who, drops back into coverage. He can be a guy who's effective in zone and space. That's not who you got. You got a bunch of rabid dogs. Let them go be rabid dogs. Don't worry about, they're so consumed. And this, I believe, is a head coach thing more than anything, with being cautious, being careful, living in their fears, that they lose some of that edge at times. And it's not a coincidence, Chris, that every time they have one of these types of performances, the way they did in Dublin, the way they did here this past week, that they say afterward, oh yeah, we just went and got it. Yeah, we did. We simplified. And they went and got it. Go ahead. Yeah, this is what Chris Dolnack says here. Pin your ears back and wreak havoc. Just go.
Yeah, and again, that doesn't have to come with this really high blitz rate. I think when some people think being aggressive means you have to be schematically aggressive. No, you don't. Aggressive is sometimes just a mindset. It's how you execute the play within, and that's kind of transcendent across almost every sport. You can play aggressive within a specific system that might not be the most aggressive type system, where it's kind of high risk, high reward. Man coverage is high risk, high reward, because, if you execute it well and you can stick to receivers in football, then yeah, you have a really good shot of, forcing a lot of incompletions. But the problem with man coverage is if you fail, especially if you don't have any help on the inside or help elsewhere, you're kind of screwed. You're on an island by yourself. We've seen what happens with that. And I think a really great example of being aggressive within what the Steelers did was watching Jalen Ramsey just flatten people, whether they were getting the ball or not. And Terrell Austin even spoke of that today, said that, that's the way we want to play. We want to play that way where, football is a violent game and we need to remind people that it's a violent game. He said, I love the way he played, the way he said, even the one he got flagged on, he wasn't doing anything that was overly, illegal. He wasn't leaning with the crown of his helmet. He wasn't doing anything like that. That is a kind of a really good example of playing with that aggressive mindset. And yeah, when it comes to the schematics, I would hope that you look at the way you played the Colts and then you think, wow, maybe we should be more of a too high team. You don't have to be. No team is all one or the other. You always have coverages in which you go single high sometimes, you go too high sometimes, but every defense has their kind of home base when it comes to, okay, no matter what, we are most comfortable running this way. The Chargers are a too high team. They run a lot of too high. They run a lot of cover 4. You're going to see a lot of that on Sunday. Curious to see how the Steelers go, because this is like you were talking about in the opening, this is a big game. This is a big game in a lot of ways, because that defense, if they can stack another performance like this, and especially if it comes out with a win, you're talking about going on the road on the West Coast against a really good Chargers team. I don't care about the attrition they've dealt with. It's still a good football team. That would be big. And if you can stack another good defensive performance on top of it, and you finally found if the Steelers are going to do anything in 2025, getting a receiver at the trade deadline was not going to make or break it. That defense performing is going to be the thing that gets your team deep into the playoffs or not. That is the unit that needs to get it done.
It is. Deborah says here that I don't want to see the Steelers, get predictable. Changes are good. And TA obviously referred to that as well. But there's oh my God, Tomlin resurrected the wine and squash and grapes line of his again. There's a fine line there. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's one of those lines here, Deborah, between wanting your team to be unpredictable and then just letting them play football. And you have to live and learn to an extent to see what it is that works. I thought, again, against the Vikings and against the Colts, that the Steelers did a lot of good things, both schematically and execution-wise. So you now have, to an extent, your template, your floor there that you're living on. Build off of that. You can see who the players are who can be migrated around. You can see how you have to adjust from that floor to your opponent. For example, even though Daniel Jones is fast, which he is, he's really, really, like, he's just a fast human. He's not necessarily a great runner as a quarterback. Justin Herbert is. Do you spy with him? Do you take Peyton Wilson out of your broader scheme and say, listen, the one thing that we can't handle on a night like this is Herbert to go running free. So do you take Peyton out, or do you say, hey, wait, hang on a second. Peyton's getting a dozen plus tackles a game, and a lot of them solos. We're not letting him go anywhere here. We'll put somebody else on this. These are the kinds of decisions that you have to make, but you have to make them within the identity that's there, within the personality that you want your defense to develop.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the way you play against a certain player, yes, I do think you have to. Spying Justin Herbert is an option, but that can't be your only option. You can't just every single third down be like, okay, we're just going to run with a spy. That's when you become predictable. You have to find different ways to defend. One of the best ways to do that, and to do it on a consistent basis, because it allows you to be flexible with what you do behind it, is to have a pass rush in which guys don't try to do too much. Like, yeah, you want to try to win. You want to try to beat the guy across from you, sure. But no matter what, you can't get too far past the quarterback if you're an edge rusher. Or no matter what, you can't be forced to the outside or forced too far one way or the other, because you can't give Justin Herbert that lane to escape. Pretty much what you have to do is have the Lamar Jackson strategy they've always had, of just push that pocket where you encircle him. That way he has nowhere to go. Like, spying at that point is just wasting a player in coverage, because if you can collapse the pocket and have it around him where he has nowhere to go on a regular basis, then that's probably the most ideal way to play it.
Unless they step up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but
yeah, that's where I have visions of that Baltimore playoff game when you go, yeah, look at that. Here comes the accordion. And then he just goes, I'm just going to go this way.
Well, that's why it's important for the guys on the interior. Again, if you're on the interior, those offensive linemen are fine pushing you to the outside, because then that gives the quarterback the option to step up. You've got to make sure you clog up the middle too. It's a tactic that the Steelers have actually done well in the past, and maybe that's what they do. I'm just saying that it can't just be one way when you're defending a quarterback that can get those back-breaking yards with their legs. And that's what Justin Herbert needs. 1 yard to match his career high in rushing. For like, it's just, that's what he's doing to defenses this year.
Yeah, he's at 300 plus now. I mean, he's their leading rusher now. There's some asterisks to that, obviously, since they've had some.
A lot of attrition. Yeah,
they've lost. Is it Omarion Hampton? Obviously, Najee went down, and they're still getting running results. Though they're still top 10 when it comes to running the ball, which tells you a lot about their scheme. The one thing I will say about the Chargers offense and how the Steelers can attack it is that everyone's been talking about how both of their tackles are out. And they are. And that's a scary place to be, man. I don't care if you've got the most mobile quarterback in human history back there.
Yep.
You don't want to be without both of your tackles. They just had to go out and sign somebody, off the couch. And before they lost their tackles, they were considered to be a way below average line anyway. So that's a big deal. That's a big factor in this game. We keep talking about big, scary Bolts and Herbert and everything, and that's fine. I mean, his numbers are his numbers. But when you're facing a defense that is, here I go with the identity thing again, but that's built on getting after you, and specifically getting after the football that's in your hands. The other team not having an offensive line that's even average, that's a real thing. That is a real factor in this game. It might be the predominant factor in this game. Look, turnovers, takeaways, we could talk about all the time how there's a certain percentage of them that are just luck. Football goes on the ground and it bounces because it's an oblong spheroid in another direction away from your guy, and you go, oh, well, we forced the fumble, we didn't recover it, we're just going to keep getting after it. You can have one of those types of days where your hands are all over the football and you don't get it. I think it happened this year against Cleveland. It was a secondary, right? Could have had like 7 picks and ended up with 0. You got to get a bunch of them. You've got to have your guys who are your takeaway guys out there. George says it's prime time for Nick Herbig. All of it's prime time for Nick Herbig. I'm way past the discussion of whether or not Herbig should be on the field. Okay, That's got to stop. That has to be thrown out as a discussion point for anybody, notably the coaching staff. I look at this matchup and I think that there are positives here from the Steelers' perspective in that they can get to the backfield and they can disrupt, Chris.
Yeah, and I think, to kind of put on there when we talk about this being a huge part of this game, it might be the deciding factor in this game. When you look at the Minnesota game, the flack that fans gave was, well, the Minnesota offensive line was banged up and they had a bunch of backups out there. That's what the Chargers have. They have a bunch of backups out there, and backups who, if you look on our app, Jose put together a nice piece on the defense, and got some stats on there. This projected line, they've given up a lot of pressures. They've given up a lot of sacks. Like they've not performed very good. Like they just haven't. And so that's on the Steelers. Like, you have to perform well. That pressure is there. You have to get to the backfield. You have to get to Justin Herbert, make him uncomfortable. And Justin Herbert, for as well as he's played this year, and for a lot of the things that he could do dangerously, he's also thrown 8 picks in 9 games. So let's also put that in perspective too, because it doesn't just have to be sacks. Make him uncomfortable. Make him make bad decisions. Make him make poor throws. Make him throw the ball toward Cam Hayward's gigantic mitts and have him bat it into the air for, Jack Sawyer to, pull down with one hand again, whatever it is.
Make him is the operative. I would open every sentence the way you just did with make him, because I think back to that first quarter against the Colts where I know sitting next to each other in the press box, we agreed on this as it was happening, that the Steelers were still playing with a ton of fire, a lot of energy, a lot of violence and so forth, but the Colts were still getting the results. They were just choom, 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 and they got down there and they got their touchdown, and you're like, man, what's it going to take to stop these guys? They're just unbelievable. All these things about the Colts must be true. But guess what they did? Steelers, they just kept coming. And eventually you're the quarterback, or in this case, or in the Colts case, Jonathan Taylor, you're like, hey, when does this let up? Okay, uncle, fellas. Enough. But the Steelers kept coming, and you could see that eventually it got to the Indianapolis side of the football where it just kind of wore them down a little bit. That's how I see this happening. Justin Herbert's mobile, but he doesn't want to run around all night. He doesn't want that at all.
No, that's not his game.
No, he's not. Yeah. He's not the tuck and go type. He's going to get his yards when right.
He's not a true what you would call a dual threat quarterback. He is mobile and can get yards, sure, but he's not what you would technically classify as a dual threat quarterback in which you have got to defend him as if he's also a true runner. Like, I mean, it's not Lamar Jackson. It's not Justin Fields. Like, those are dual threat quarterbacks. Those are quarterbacks you have to account for what they can do as designed runs, which, by the way, really funny about Arthur Smith. He talked today about how Aaron Rodgers has been more mobile than expected for somebody of his age.
Then
he made and then he made a joke and said, maybe I'll call a quarterback power a couple of times.
Oh, boy.
Which I thought was pretty funny because I could just imagine Aaron Rodgers.
There was something that happened with Aaron. I think he said that his back stiffened up in the opener back in East Rutherford.
Yeah.
And that otherwise, but then he comes back the following week and he was just moving around. Now, look.
Cincinnati, more than anything. That's the game that stands out to me.
I still don't want to see him do it. And
no.
He is hanging on. He did it again this past Sunday where he hangs onto the football thinking that he can get out of the pocket and then doesn't because he's not there anymore. But when he has been, how do I put this? Not super closely pursued, he can change his own passing lane. He still has that. And he can, of course, because of his arm talent, can do it to either side. That has been a very pleasant surprise. I know that whenever Rodgers was signed, one of the things that was in my head was, well, here comes 2020 Ben.
No.
You know, where you literally just stand there and
he's a statue, yeah.
Yeah, and that has not been the case with Aaron. And I'm sure that has been a pleasant surprise for Art and everybody because they couldn't have known that. That's not something you would have picked up on tape because he missed all of 2023 with the Achilles injury. And then 2024, he struggled with that specific thing. He acknowledged it. He wasn't himself with his leg. He had not committed fully to trusting.
You could see near the end of the season, like last 6 games or so, he started to feel better. He started to move around better
with the Jets.
Yeah, with the Jets. I mean, that was, and it helped his game for sure. Like it helped because he played much, much better down the stretch than he did whenever he was like, it's beginning of the season. He's coming off the Achilles injury. He also then had an ankle injury, I think in the London game early on. Like he had a number of different injuries and ailments that were slowing him down. So he couldn't really get going. But I think those last 6 games or so kind of gave you an indication, he can actually move around a little bit more. He had one actual run, I think, against the Jaguars last season. I think it was like a 20-yard gain or something along those lines. You're like, man, Aaron Rodgers at like 40, 41 years old. I saw that, by the way.
Yeah, she thinks nobody notices it.
I'm just going to walk normal then.
Go ahead.
It's so funny.
We had to move we had to move the camera back so it's behind where it used to be. And as a result, whenever she passes through, because her workstation's over here. Anyway, life goes on. Somehow we would win if we had their starting tackles and lose if they're not playing. So don't read into the propaganda, says Lifted once. Dude, it's football, man. There's like real wars and real stuff happening in the world. You're using a term like propaganda when it comes to football. That's one of those go out and touch grass moments. Andy says, Chris, is the new offensive lineman the Bolts picked up any good? If he wasn't going to be available.
No, I mean, the guy they acquired to help, I mean, better than what they had, but also when we talk about getting on a moving train, you're having to get on a moving train. I mean, trade deadline was Tuesday, so might get a full week's worth of practice in, but we'll see. We'll see if he actually ends up playing, if he's starting. We'll see. But again, even if he does play, there's still a lot of attrition on that line, and it's going to be a brand new game with a brand new team. Sometimes it works out. Kyle Duggar was very, very good in his first game with 2 practices. So, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but, we'll see what happens.
Major Headache gets our next to last word on the day, says Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, Jalen Ramsey in the middle are the future of this defense. play a lot of big nickel match and so forth. That all sounds good, but I need to know that Peppers is part of that. I need to know that Peppers is somebody that the staff is trusting. When you listen to the way Mike Tomlin was singing, writing poetry about Duggar over these past few days, you could be reminded that he did no such thing with Peppers. And that's probably because Peppers, this was over in Dublin, committed a couple penalties in rapid succession, at which point I'm sure everybody was like, what's this dude doing? He just get here? This isn't a great first impression. Can Peppers become part of this defense, Chris?
He can, and I think if the Steelers end up running with when everybody's healthy, and I'm saying outside of Deshaun Elliott, so like when Peppers is healthy, Chuck Clark is healthy, and they get everybody back, they could run a big nickel in which your two safeties they could keep Ramsey there, possibly. I still don't think they're completely giving up on Ramsey being in the slot, but let's just say for the sake of argument right now, your two primary safeties are Duggar and Ramsey. You could have Peppers be that box safety if you want to go like big nickel and have a third safety on the field. You could also have Duggar be that guy and have Peppers back. And I think having Duggar and Peppers on the same defense could possibly work because they played together in New England. And Peppers has actually helped translate. And yes, I am using the word translate the New England language into the Steelers language with the terminology that's used for specific coverages, specific, tags, checks, whatever every team has different terminology, and Peppers is helping translate that stuff. And that helps, and having that on-field chemistry helps. So yes, I think Peppers could be part of it, but he's also he had a great game against the Patriots, and that's been noted, but he's had some rough moments at the same time. He's had those moments in which he's committed, like you said, penalties in rapid succession. It's got to be a bit more consistent. Maybe it can be with a player like Duggar, he's got some familiarity with. But I think ideally, just based off of what you've seen out of Juan Thornhill, what you've seen out of Chuck Clark, you'd like, if you have that situation, or especially if you want Ramsey to play in the slot again, for Peppers to be able to step up and actually become a player on this defense. I think that would be best case scenario moving forward.
King says, is it cheaper to buy tickets on game day before kickoff? I'm going to the game on Sunday and the prices are crazy. And King is referring, of course, to the game that's out in Los Angeles, or actually Inglewood, California, just south of the city. I have no earthly idea. I really don't. I've not been on a StubHub thing in my life, so I don't know I don't even know if it's sold out and they're secondary. I know nothing about this.
The only experience, actually last night my wife and kids went to the Yellow Card concert at PPG Paints Arena, and I also was tracking tickets day of to see if they would go down or not. Sometimes that happens, but it is a crapshoot. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. So unfortunately, we cannot give you a good answer on that.
Yeah, not even close. We're the worst people to ask. We're going to close today. Clayton came in with a message. R.I.P. Marshawn Nealand. For anybody who doesn't know, this is the Dallas Cowboys' second round pick, who, by every accounting, took his own life today. Don't read the details. Don't go looking it up. It's not worth it. What is worth it is what Clayton says after that. He says, everyone in here, please reach out for help if you need it. That's actually the biggest message from this. Believe it or not, in the year 2025, there are those who do not take mental health seriously. There are those who just say, it's, whatever. Oh, get over it. Or look at your life. What's wrong with you, to be pouting or whatever. It's a very real thing. And the way I've preferred to describe it over the years, and I think this helps to make it more real for anybody who's a skeptic, is it's actually a physical ailment. It's not like you thought something and then it just went all dark and ooh in your head. things back here somewhere misfire. They don't work properly. There's things called melatonin and serotonin and whatever, and there has to be a balance between the two. When they misfire, you're not functioning properly. So if you want to call that a mental illness, it almost sounds like you're shuffling it off to the side. Something physically, a real thing is going wrong back there. And it's incumbent on everybody around an individual who is struggling to ensure that they get that help. Maybe it's medicine. Maybe it's mind frame. Maybe it's talking things out. Whatever it happens to be, what's paramount in these situations is communication, is empathy, is understanding. Way above anything else here. Obviously, Chris, just an unspeakable tragedy for the National Football League.
It really is. I mean, just around sports in general, and just basic humanity. I mean, the kid was 24 years old. Nobody should die that young. I was on my way to the South Side and had just stopped at a red light and had seen a bunch of my watch was going off because I have notifications on for all the a whole bunch of different things on social media. My watch kept going off, kept buzzing, and I saw what was going on, and it was just, it's one of those things where it snaps everything back into focus again. If you need help, absolutely, don't hesitate to reach out. This toxic masculinity of, I'm a man, I can get myself through situations. No, this is something that
the get over it crowd only ever needs one example in their lives, and that's the brilliant actor, comedian Robin Williams. Might have been the happiest, most energetic soul on earth. Stuff wasn't working.
Yeah.
And he couldn't handle it because it's really bad when it does happen. Just all I'm saying is you're going to see, hear, and read all kinds of stuff about CTE and whatever else, and we don't know anything. Okay. What we do know is what was brought up here initially by Clayton. That's the one thing that's within all of our control. We don't need to be doctors to be empathetic and understanding. We don't need to be experts. All we need to be is caring human beings who are aware that mental health is real health. Mm-hmm. It's really, and boy, the idea of it being stigmatized. Hey, listen, watch how this works. I went through this a little bit more than a decade ago. I had a hell of a time. Had a back injury, couldn't work, and I lost for about a year and a half. I was almost non-functional. It's real. Okay. Yeah. It's really, really, really real. And it wasn't until I got the help that I needed and the help that persists to this day that I could even function. I'm 100% now, although you wouldn't know it at times. It's there, and it should not have a stigma. And anybody who's been through it, talk about it, make it known that it's okay, that it's also not a kiss of death either. Okay, you can fight through it. You can fight back here. Josh Dobbs says, my wife is a therapist who sees 50 people a week. It's real. Oh, it's real. It's really, really real. Guys, listen, we appreciate you being with us. We're going to have another show here tomorrow. And after that, on Saturday, Chris and I are flying on out to LAX, air traffic control permitting.
Yeah, looking forward to that, and also looking forward to the flight back and possibly having to fight snow on the way back.
What snow?
There's
here?
Yeah,
it doesn't snow here anymore. I'll believe that. I'll believe that when I see it. Yeah. All right, guys. I will sign off here. Chris will sign off, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you, really.